Okay, so question number 2 from your homework. It tells us that John is at a maximum height of 12 meters at t equals 13.2 seconds. At t equals 14.6 seconds, John reaches a minimum height of 4 meters. Sketch the graph and find two equations that express John's height in terms of time. Then determine how high John is above the ground at t equals 20.8 seconds. So again, numerous different equations you can have here. I'll just give you two examples of what I used. So if I look at this, I start with my max height of 12 meters at t equals 13.2 seconds, and your min height of 4 meters at t equals 14.6 seconds. So overall, I'm trying to find my height at t equals 20.8 seconds. So if I look at my graph, my max height is 12 meters, and that's at 13.2 seconds. My min height is 4 meters, which is at 14.6 seconds. So overall, I'm trying to find my height at 20.8 seconds. So you can kind of see what this graph is going to look like here. First, I need to find my period. So my period, if I look at this, I'm going to say is 16 minus 13.2. So where did this 16 come from? So if I'm jumping from intervals between 13.2 and 14.6, I'm adding 1.4 every time. So my period then, if you remember, you can take any 2 points that represent one full cycle. So I can go 16 here, and then this point is going to come back down right here, which is my intercept. So that makes one full cycle here. So I can say, oh, I'm sorry, 16 is up here, right? And that's your maximum, and my next maximum point is at 13.2. So now I say 16 minus 13.2, which is 2.8. Knowing my period is equal to 2 pi over b, I say 2.8 equals 2 pi over b. Solving this for b, and we get b equals 2 pi over 2.8. So you notice if you put this in your calculator, you get an irrational number. So I just kept b as 2 pi over 2.8. So my amplitude then is 4. So that's like saying your radius, right? So if we look at the difference between, here's our new intercept. So this is 4, this is 4, so your amplitude is 4. Your vertical shift then is 8. Your b, which is what we found, is 2 pi over 2.8. And then your phase shift here, depending on which graph you use, if I use cosine, I use my phase shift is 13.2. So before we get there, let's go back to this vertical shift. Why is this vertical shift 8? Well, if I look at the difference between 4 and 12, so 4 plus 12 is 16. Half of 16, that's the average, is 8. So the midline here is 8. So positive cosine graph, I have maximum, intercept, minimum, intercept, maximum. So let's start with my maximum point here. So my amplitude is 4, so I have 4 cosine. B is 2 pi over 2.8 times x minus, now this maximum shifted from the y-intercept over to 13.2. So you say minus 13.2 plus your vertical shift, which is 8. Next, if we're looking the height at t equals 20.8 seconds, we're just plugging that in for x, entering all of this in your calculator, and you get 7.11 meters. So notice this must be in radians because you have 2 pi, right? Not degrees. This has to be radians if you see pi. So another example, it wants two equations here. So here, let's try negative sign. So you can use positive sign, you can use negative cosine, it does not matter. You just have to look at where your graph starts. So negative sign is intercept, minimum, intercept, maximum, intercept. So let's find our intercept. So if we look here, my intercept is halfway between these 2 points, which is 13.9. So it goes intercept, minimum, intercept, maximum. So here, I'm going to say negative 4 sine of b, which is 2 pi over 2.8, times x minus your phase shift. So this shifted now from the y-intercept over to 13.9, and then plus your vertical shift, which is 8. Same thing, plug in your 20.8 seconds for x, and you get y equals 7.11. So you can see that either equation gives you the same answer. If you do this problem, try to come up with your own equations and see if you get that. So hopefully this helps you with this problem.